Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another card video at my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm using this stamp set from Art Impressions. This is the Cat Big Mouth stamp set. It comes with a die that you'll need to put the card together. And it's a really fun concept where you have a pull tab and it opens the cat's mouth and then there's a mouse inside. I thought it was super cute. So I'm going to be coloring this with Copic markers. I've stamped in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to be using some neutral gray colors for the cat and then add a little bit of color with the hat and also the cake. So I'm coloring the cat to look exactly like my two cats, Daphne and Sophie. Since I will be giving this card away from me to someone else, it only makes sense to have the cat look like one of my cats. So I'm coloring it all in grays, and I'm going to add some fun stripes on the cat and a lot of shading, and then also add some spots on the cat's tummy. And because this is going to take quite a bit of time, plus I have to assemble the card, I'm going to turn on some music and speed up the coloring process a little bit, and I will catch up with you once the coloring is completed. So after all of the coloring was completed, I had to cut out that mouth portion on the cat. So I followed the instructions on the back of the packaging for the stamp set, and I said to position the die over the cat's chin area and then run that through a die cutting machine. I'm just using my Sizzix Big Shot machine, and I used a little bit of Post-it tape to keep that die in place while I ran it through. And then after I had cut that area, I very carefully removed it from that colored piece. And you can see that it left that piece. You've got the chin piece and then you've got the open mouth area. So while I had my die cutting machine out, I used the Nested Circles dies from Simon Says Stamp to cut out two purple circles. These two circles are going to create the card base for my card today. I thought it'd be really fun to create a circle card. So I've cut two circles, one for the front of the card and one for the back. So now I'm referencing the back of that stamp packaging once more just to see how to assemble this card. And you'll notice I actually cut out that strip with the chin area on it, but I did it incorrectly, and I'll let you know exactly how to do it in a minute here. But in the meantime, I've cut out the cat. I left a little bit of a white border around the edge. This is just going to help that cat stand out on top of that purple cardstock. And then the mouse, I cut out it directly against the edge of the stamp. And then after I cut it out, I used a black brush tip marker. This happens to be a Memento marker to paint the white edges of this little mouse here. That just makes it look perfectly cut out. And he's going to go on top of some black cardstock eventually, and I didn't want any of that white edge showing. So as far as adding sentiment to this card, I decided I would use the Circle Saying stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I took a die from that same die set that's just slightly smaller than the card base, and then I cut that circle stamp in between the words, and that's because I wanted it to be larger than what it was when it was together, and I figured that I could have that pull tab come out through the gap in between those letters. So I just used that die as a guide to get this stamp stuck to some stamp packaging or my stamp pocket, and that just holds it in place while I get it in the right shape. And then I prepped my purple card base with my powder tool. The reason why you want to use a powder tool is it just cuts down on any areas where the embossing powder would stick where you don't want it to. It just really dries out the entire surface area and makes it super clean and pristine for doing some stamping and embossing. So I used some Versamark ink on that stamp and stamped down onto that purple circle. And then I used some Hero Arts white embossing powder. I really loved the idea of having the white words really bright against this purple card base. I thought it would look really pretty. Cleaned up some of the embossing powder with just a dry brush. You can use one of those if your embossing powder kind of strays. And then I used my heat tool to melt the embossing powder until it was nice and smooth. So I'm going to work on assembling this area for the big mouth cat, and I wanted to make sure the spacing was just right on this, and so I put the tab right there on the cat and then positioned it just right in place. And then the instructions say that you're supposed to put the animal that's cut, with the mouth cut out on your card base, and then take a pencil and trace the bottom edge of that opening. And then you take a ruler, and so I'm just going to be using my T-square ruler, and you measure down 1/2 inch from that line, and you're going to create another line beneath this. This is going to create the little mechanism for the pull tab to go through. So I'm penciling on another line right below that first one. It's approximately 1/2 inch below. Then I take my X-Acto knife or a craft knife and just cut between those two lines. Now you notice I added some additional lines there. That was when I thought I wanted it to be the exact size of the pull tab, but in actuality you need those lines a little bit wider than the pull tab. You'll see me correct that in a minute here. So I cut a 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, actually I think it's a 1.5, a 1.5 by 1.5 inch black square, and adhered that down onto the card base, and you put that right above that first line. So here's the pull tab that I recreated. What you want to do is you have a piece of white cardstock that's 1 1/8 inch wide by 3.5 inch tall, and then you cut a little tiny V on the one end. That's going to create the cat's teeth. Then you adhere that chin piece right beneath it, and I noticed that a little bit of white was showing around the edges, so I just went around with my gray marker so that it wouldn't be quite as obvious. And then I cut down my tab to be the right size because I didn't want it to hang off the card while it was closed. And then I took my corner chomper and just rounded those two bottom corners with a 1/4 inch corner rounder punch. So now I'm going to start feeding this through the back area. So what you want to do is have it feed through and go through both of those areas. And I knew since I'd recreated that tab, the pull tab, it wasn't going to be wide enough. So I ended up using my craft knife and widening those areas. So now I'm feeding that through. And I noticed that when I put it in and then I tried to pull it down, that bottom chin area kind of got stuck on the arm. So I'm going to fix that in a minute here, but for now I'm going to adhere the mouse on the inside of the card, or on the inside of the cat's mouth actually. So I'll just put that mouse right there, positioned just right, and press down. And this is when I noticed that it was kind of sticking a little bit. So I ended up putting a little strip of cardstock right below that chin area, adhered it down, put a little gray on that. That's going to make the surface area completely flat so that it won't catch on that area a little bit. And what's interesting is that this is the second time I've made this card, and the first time I made it following the instructions on the back of the stamp packaging, the pull mechanism was perfect. I didn't like how I did the coloring, so I ended up remaking this card. But that first time, it was absolutely perfect, and I thought I knew better than the people who actually made the stamp set. So I cut the pull tab smaller, and I did all these things, and it just messed it up. So my advice to you is follow the instructions on the back of the stamp packaging to the letter, and we'll make it so that the pull mechanism is just perfect on your card. I had to correct a lot of things on mine, and I eventually got it to work. But just a word of caution, do exactly as they say in the instructions, and you'll be just fine. So I scored that purple circle just to give a little bit of a fold, and then adhered that together to create the card. And I'm going to add a little bit of detail by adding some clear Wink of Stella shimmer pen or glitter pen on the cake and also the hat. And then I took some glossy accents and added that to the hat and also the candles. I didn't want to add it to anywhere else because I didn't want it to overwhelm this card. There's a lot going on already, so I thought I would just keep it to the hat and also onto the top of the candles. So that will finish up the card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Just want to let you know that if you go over to my blog, to today's blog post, you can scroll down to the very bottom and you'll see some tags at the bottom of the blog post. And one of them is circle cards. So if you're looking for some additional circle card inspiration, please head over to my blog and click on circle cards at the bottom of the blog post. Thank you so much for watching today's card video. I have 3 more Art Impressions birthday cards for you to check out. They have some awesome stamp sets that are perfect for birthday cards, and I wanted to give you guys some examples of cards I've done in the past. So you can click on any of those videos and it will take you directly to the video where you can watch the card being made. You can also visit me on my blog at kwarnerdesign.com and visit me at social media at Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest. Once again, thanks so much for watching today's video. I appreciate it whenever you guys tune in, and I will see you guys in the next card video.